Almost. I already went out. TikTok knows that. Because I was live on TikTok only. They know where I went. You don't know where I went, but TikTok does. Okay. Let's get Rumble up. I'll just keep it time to chill out. Because that's exactly what I'm going to do. And now let's go live on TikTok. I just took a nice shower. I feel fresh, refreshed. My hair's still wet. It's never this neat. It's got to be wet, still a little damp. Let's call it damp. Nice shaved, feel refreshed. Got my stuff for New Year's Eve. And you don't know what I went through. I'll wait till I go live on TikTok. Because they know more. It said Aurora watch, but I couldn't change that. Not on TikTok while I was driving. And TikTok, I am back. We are back on TikTok. All right. Let me just enjoy my coffee. So, I go on the Walmart site, and it says everything's out of stock. What the hell? What is that? Everything's out of stock. The site is down. By the way, if you have an Apple phone, I would suggest you be very careful with them. Because I just read something that is alarming. I'm so glad I don't have an iPhone. I have an Android. They issued, something came out. I saw the email to, I think, the iPhone 18. There's vulnerabilities or something. I'm like, oh my gosh. Let me see if I find it. Just think where they're made. People, they swear on Macs and all that. You can keep that stuff all. Here it is. I had to do. Wow. The iOS 18 has several vulnerabilities that could allow attackers to access sensitive user data or execute arbitrary code. It's important to keep your device updated to the latest version to protect against these risks. And then there's all kinds of rumors going on about the new iPhone 18 Pro, the design, the cameras. But there are a lot of vulnerabilities on those iPhones. So just be mindful of those phones. When people swear to them like they're spoiled on something, I am an Android person, and I'm so glad I am. It says it right there. High risk of data exposure. This is what they're saying about the iPhone 18. An attacker with physical access may use Siri to access sensitive user data. High risk of data exposure. An app may enumerate a user's installed apps. Privacy risk. An attacker may see recent photos without authentication. Wow, serious privacy breach. Processing a file may lead to memory corruption. potential for arbitrary code execution. It's all about the iPhone 18. An attacker may spoof their FaceTime caller ID. Risk of impersonation. Oh my gosh. That phone is super vulnerable. No way. Be careful with your phones. You know, people make fun of me because I have the A thing, the Alexa thing, and Ring doorbells. That has nothing on your phones. Nothing. You think these are invasive? If you think these are invasive, then you should not have a phone, or a tablet, or a laptop, or a PC. Because that's hypocrisy. Don't make fun of one thing, meanwhile you're on a phone using it every day, constantly, because that's hypocrisy. You can't criticize one without realizing what's in your hand is worse than what you're criticizing. Does that make sense? But people do it all the time. I don't know why. If you have one, you're done. Because obviously, it's keeping up to your data usage, what you're searching for, all that good stuff. And you know, there's the cloud. And now with AI. So when people say those kind of things, I'm like, are they that gullible and naive? Are they? Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on this tangent, but please be careful with the usage of your phones because, you know, they're vulnerable. And I'm sure there's vulnerabilities with the Android, with my phone. Everything is. So just like I said, be careful for those out there, especially if you have children. Oh my God. I mean, you have to keep those things up to date for security breaches and all that stuff because you have to make sure your phones are secure. And parental controls, if you have to, whatever it takes, do it. Because they don't know what they're dealing with. They could easily get hacked. With a picture, a photo, FaceTime. This is not good with the iPhones. So please be careful when you use your phones. Does Alexa keep track of things that I bring up to it? If I tell it to, yes. And it does like anything. People use ChatGPT, Gemini, Siri, all that. What's the difference? There is no difference. It's all in the cloud collected. All of it. Everything you type in. Everything. And forget about doing a live stream. You will be held accountable and you are responsible for what you say and what you do and how you behave, etc. You don't think there's a digital footprint and record of this? Not just because I'm streaming it live, but there is. And people do stupid things and say stupid things and type in stupid things or send stupid messages or stupid emails. That's all traceable and recoverable. Social media posts, all that. Be careful. That's my advice. Well, when I saw that thing on my email today, I was like, what happened to the iPhone 18? I was like, whoa. And there's a lot of other crazy things going on out there. Do you know that China is doing war drills around Taiwan right now? I said it. It's not going to, people were criticizing, it's not going to happen under Biden. Oh, it's going to happen under Biden. It's going to happen in 2026. They're watching what we do with Venezuela and all this. Oh, the United States just thinks they can do that. Well, why can't we? Sends a bad precedent to other countries, thinking it's okay for them to do stuff now too. I hate to say it. I really do, because it's a democracy, Taiwan. Taiwan's not going to probably be under free sovereignty, so to speak, by the end of 2026. China's taken Taiwan. That would be my prediction. Despite all those knuckleheads that were saying partisan BS, because that's how it works, do they realize right now China's as close to ever to invading Taiwan? Right now, look it up. They're doing war drills. They got the whole island circled. They're doing full war drills right now. Not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. But Xi is not a fool. He's preparing. He sees what we're doing. Now he's starting to ruffle and rattle. And think about it. Mr. No Wars isn't going to start a war with China, right? China's just going to walk in and take it. People will be complaining all this, but nothing's going to get done. It's not like we're going to go to war over Taiwan, are we? It's not our problem, right? And this whole thing with Ukraine, that's not Putin. Putin's not going to agree to those terms, some of those terms that I've seen already. No way. He thinks he can wait this out. He thinks he can just punish them through the winter. And another thing, keep an eye on Iran-Israel in the next 3 months. There's a lot going on. 2026 might be not good as far as foreign policy is concerned. 2026 might be bad. Forget about what's happening here with the economy, all that other stuff. Loss of possible insurance skyrocketing. People are going to just say, I'm not going to buy insurance. I'll take my chances. And you know what happens when people do that, right? People that do not go through the ACA, our prices of insurance are going to go up because less people are in the marketplace. So the insurance companies are losing the money. They're going to charge increases to everyone. The people think that it only affects the people in the ACA marketplace. Oh, no, it doesn't. It affects us all. Because the less amount of people that sign up to get insurance means they're going to find another way to raise the costs to compensate these losses, and it's going to be raising the increase to all of us. Think about it. Because people are naive. They don't think in those terms. They think of it more of a political term, partisan term. But what are the real ramifications it affects on everyone? And I went to get gas yesterday. Regular is $2.89. Where is this $1.99 gas? I want to know where the $1.99 gas is. I want to know. Now, New York does tax a lot on their gas. A lot. Jersey did it recently. Jersey used to be, a lot of people would go to Jersey, get the gas, fill up, come back. But Jersey started to increase their taxes on gas too. My insurance for the house and car is going up $2,000 next year. $2,000. It's not going lower. It's going higher. Now, I went to Walmart today shopping. I was shocked to see some prices were actually lower than expected. But it was very few items. The rest was ridiculous. Ridiculous. But there was some. 2. Potatoes. 10 pounds, $6. That's not bad. It's potatoes. And I don't know if you noticed that, like if you buy a pie, the pies are getting smaller and the prices are like high. I paid $6 and I thought this was cheap for a pie, maybe 8-inch. Forget about the other stuff. Orange juice, ridiculous. The meat, ridiculous. Bread is up from the beginning of the year, like 30 cents, 40 cents. But I buy 40 cal bread, so it's a little more pricey. What else did I buy? A can of strawberries, pie filling, $5. $5. It used to be $3. It's $5 now. Because I did this. I bought cheesecake. And I like to put extra strawberry topping on it. So I bought it because I wanted it for my cheesecake. What else did I buy? Not much. It was a quick... Oh, no, but that was for New Year's. I bought supplies. Though the horns are $4 now when they used to be $2. You know, oh my gosh. I was like, what's going on? What is going on? Good morning, Lorraine. Oh, good afternoon now. Yes, all countries are preparing for that. I'm on TikTok. Do you know that the Canadians are even preparing? Do you know that? I was like, what? Canada's preparing for war with who? The Dutch are freaking out over his remarks over Greenland again. Yes, it's harder to create peace with diplomacy than to start war. And the industrial military complex, there's so much money involved with that. War is a money machine, sadly. Unfortunately, it is. I'm reading comments. What's now? What's going on? Sorry, Bill, that is due to the Canadian-Mexican agreement on trade for tomatoes, avocados, and strawberries. Really? Strawberries? Wow. So that's why that was more expensive. I didn't know that. I learned something today. Thank you for telling me that, Lorraine. So there's a lot. Utility bills are going up. What the heck? It's getting really difficult for many of us. Not the top 10%. So you know that they said, that the economy did good during the Christmas season for selling products. Do you know why? I broke the numbers down. The top 10% was spending more than normal on buying Christmas stuff, while the rest were not. They put the surge into the economy for the Christmas rush. Go look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Top 10%. You think they're worried about what's going on right now? They couldn't care less about the middle person or the poor people, obviously. They couldn't care less. They're happy. They're in their happy land. Where's the rest of the country? You know how many people live check to check, pay to pay, just to keep going? Almost 50%. Alexa, how many people today live check to pay their bills and survive?
Nearly a quarter of U.S. households,
25%.
or about 62% of Americans, live paycheck to paycheck in 2025. This includes people across all income levels.
Did she say 62%?
Would you like to know more about recent financial trends?
Did you say 62%?
Yes, I did say 62%. That's the current estimate for Americans living paycheck to paycheck.
It was worse than I thought. I said 50%.
Yeah, that 62% figure really hits different when you see the broader picture. Recent polls show nearly half of Americans feel their financial security is actually getting worse, and consumer confidence has been dropping for 5 straight months. Turns out living paycheck to paycheck isn't just a catchy phrase anymore.
Alexa, stop.
It's become the American dream's less glamorous
Alexa, stop.
cousin.
So, in what fantasy land is the economy doing great? It's just awesome. Yeah. In the stock market, especially when it comes to AI, they're having a field day. Trickle that down to the ordinary person that is not invested in that. Things are not good. And do you think things are going to get better? Wait till January 1st. When people's insurance, it's going to be madness. And I mean, I feel for those people. My gosh. Do you think that's going to help? On top of everything else that's going bad with the economy? You think now people have to worry about getting health insurance is going to help? On top of all the other stresses financially, now my insurance might go up by double or triple? How is that sustainable for my family? And we're not talking about poor people. We're talking about a household income of $60,000. And they have to go to the marketplace. And they have a family. What about that? Because everybody thinks it's about the poor people. Oh, forget about Medicaid, Medicare, all the other cuts, SNAP, everything else. Everybody's going to feel across the country, whether you're red or blue. This is not a partisan issue. This is going to affect a lot of people across the board. There's no way anyone can defend this. In this country, in the 21st century, this is happening. It's undefendable. And that's why they're going to lose the House. They'll probably keep the Senate because it's strong red representation. But people are pissed. And you can't lie to people and say everything's great when they're the ones going out there living day to day, shopping, paying the bills. You can't lie to those people. Those people are saying, okay, you're full of shit. Bottom line. And nobody can spin it any other way. Because the facts are the facts. Despite somebody like a con man trying to convince that it's otherwise. Or everything is just peachy, great, awesome. Where? What world? So, I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of conflict and chaos going on right now. This plan obviously did not work. And I know there was a lot of people that were hopeful that things would get better. We always have that optimism. But when reality hits you in the face, you have to say, okay, how much longer do I stand and defend this and not realize that I'm lying to myself because of political affiliation? When do you wake up and say enough is enough and reality hits you in the face and I can't do this no more? And I've said this, and it's just my own personal opinion. This country's not ready to elect a female president. Kamala had no chance. Even though he says it was a landslide, it was 1.5% difference. It wasn't a landslide. That's first of all. Because he always inflates numbers. That's his thing. I mean, look what's going on. Putting your name on the Kennedy Center, that's a memorial. Why did you put your name in front of that? That is like sacrilege. He wants to put his names on everything. That's what dictators do in their countries. They put giant images of themselves all over the country, their names all over the place. That's what happens in freaking China and North Korea, Russia. It's happening here. That's acceptable? Oh my gosh. To me, that is just utter disgrace. And nobody's saying anything. Could you imagine if Biden or Obama decided to do something like that? But there's no outcry. They're silent. I could go on and on. This is cray-cray. My gosh. What are you saying in here? For those who are not rich, the stats showed that the Christmas gifts this year were items people needed more than wanted. That makes total sense, Lorraine. That is an excellent point. Excellent point. Having medicine in your cupboards, food in your fridge, and clean bedding on your mattress, these things our great-great-grandparents wished for during, I don't know if that's war. I can't really make that up. My great-great-great-grandparents fled Stalin. My grandmother's Russian, Lorraine. I think you know that. Lithuanian. If they could speak for us to us now, they would say never lose hope. You can't lose hope. You always got to be optimistic. If you lose hope, you're done. You got to keep on moving forward. You can't lose hope. It's just harder. But that doesn't mean give up. Never. Never give up. No way. Heck no. You find a way. Do you know I went to the post office today and I saw something for the first time I've ever seen? There was a homeless person sleeping in the lobby. I've never seen that before. 20 years I've been living here, and there was a homeless person sleeping in the lobby. I don't know how the post office is allowing that to happen. I'm just saying, on a technicality basis, I don't know how the post office doesn't have people saying, you can't stay here in the lobby, you gotta go. So obviously somebody in there is not, the supervisor is not saying a word. I never saw that before. I was like, whoa. Sad. And that's the state of the times. Like a lot of people, if you pay attention to news, there are a lot of people thinking that when Netanyahu goes to see Trump today, he's probably meeting soon, if not already, it's going to be about Gaza. That's not necessarily what Israel wants to talk about. They are really concerned about the Iranian threat now with these ballistic missiles. They're going to talk to him about a preemptive strike again on Iran. I'm speculating. But if you do your research, you could see where this is going. And I don't know if they want a green light from him, from the president. But I'm telling you, within the next 3 months, let's see if I'm right, something's popping off again. By spring, something's popping off again between Israel and Iran. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am. And I definitely think China is going to move on Taiwan in 2026. With everything else going on right now, I mean, they're all trying to get a power hold. You could see what our president is doing here in our continent with South America, with Venezuela. Venezuela won't be the end. It'll probably move on to Colombia. Because Colombia is where it really is all coming from. A lot of the stuff. I'm on TikTok, so I'm being careful. Colombia is next. If whatever happens, happens. China's saying, okay, you're doing your stuff in your neck of the woods? Well, guess what? We're going to shore up our neck of the woods. You're busy over there doing what you're doing? Guess what? We're going to do what we need to do here. And we're taking back Taiwan. While you're busy with Venezuela getting all that straightened out, we're going to take Taiwan. Do you know how many times I heard people say China's going to take Taiwan under Biden? I can't even tell you how many times I heard it. He's weak. They're going to wait till spring. when the tides are in their favor, all this. Didn't happen. It's going to happen now. Because they're watching and seeing what's going on. Remember, again, bottom line to all those supporters, the MAGA supporters, it's all about no wars, right? You think he's going to start a war with China over Taiwan? And you know what the answer is? It's none of our business by many of those supporters. That's not our problem. And China knows what goes on here. They know the political environment. They observe. They have people here like they monitor everything that's on social media, everything. They're even involved in that. They know. They're going to move on Taiwan because nobody's going to stop them. They just got to figure out a way how to do it efficiently, as quick as possible, and take it. That's the reality of it. And it is scary stuff. And, I mean, the Russian economy is in tatters. And I've been saying this for months. I even wrote the president myself. I have the response. I have the proof. I actually got the email sent back to me from the White House. And it was my concern about giving Russia that occupied territory that's worth $12.4 trillion in resources. Now, digging more, we had the minerals deal April 30th signed with Ukraine, but now we're making a side deal with Russia that if Russia does get that occupied territory in a peace deal, we get access with Russia having that territory to access those minerals. So we made a side deal. We have the deal with Ukraine, and now we have a side deal with Russia. So if Russia gets that territory, if you've been hearing and I've been saying it, I was right, an economic free zone. Have you heard that one? Have you heard it? Economic free zone in that territory. Why? Because it's accessible by us, Russia, who knows who else. That's the new one you've been hearing. I said that months ago. Any person with common sense can see where this was going. You know what I mean? They made a side deal. That's why you had Jared there and the other guy who's a businessman there working a deal with Russia. Kushner's, they're all there. All the business people are there with Russia meeting because they're making a deal. So regardless what happens, the United States looks at this almost as a win-win. Even though I don't trust the Russians for nothing. They're our adversaries. They're besties. This is crazy how much concessions have been made to Russia to stop this war. It's not... Ukraine has been giving because they have no choice. They're up against a superpower, military superpower. It is inevitable that they lose more territory because there's no one to support them. NATO alone? No. It would be a matter of time, sadly. So do they cut their losses now and try to come up with a deal? But I don't see. Everybody says yesterday, the president, oh, it was terrific. There's two thorny things. It doesn't matter. What does Putin say? You guys could be in agreement, 90% of what does Putin say? Without Putin's involvement, it's worthless. Because he could just say, I don't like it. You guys like it. Don't mean I like it. He's looking at this like, I've waited this long. The president looks weak in his position because he's so desperate to try to make peace, to get a Nobel Peace Prize, that he'll do anything to try to strike peace so he could say he made peace. Putin is like, not so fast. Why don't I wait this out? Winter's here. which is really bad for Ukraine, with no power, heat, etc. I can punish them this winter and make them succumb and take more territory. Then we're in a position of power. We have more leverage by doing that. Putin is not thinking like our president. Are you kidding me? This is how naive the situation is. It's horrific for Ukraine. Horrific. How much you want to bet Putin says, no, I'm not feeling this. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. I have a feeling he's going to say, I don't like it. And then we're back to square one. Okay. How does... Let me see. How does it go? Give is you're weak, you're tired. I hate that you're right about that. Reality is the reality is nobody's gonna move on that like you say, and at best some countries try to take in as many people who flee as they can. Refugees. You know, a lot of countries don't want to take that refugee issue, Lorraine. We all know the big companies didn't fund the ballroom. They paid for the new bunker underneath the ballroom. Oh geez, at this point Putin can't afford to agree to that now. Money. But see, there's so much money and resources in the occupied territory that they currently are on in Ukraine. Trillions of dollars worth of resources. If they get that territory, their economy is... Now, it's going to take time to create the mining capability, the resources, equipment, etc., to start getting the money from that land. But they got access to it. And it's worth trillions in rare earth, oil, coal, minerals, you name it. It is cray-cray. Alexa, is it worth $12.4 trillion that Russia currently occupies in Ukraine and resources?
Russia controls $12.4 trillion worth of Ukraine's resources, including 63% of coal, 11% of oil, and 20% of natural gas deposits. This strategic control significantly impacts Ukraine's economy and Europe's energy security.
This is more than what people think it is. This hurts Europe as well.
Absolutely. It's a complex situation with far-reaching implications for Ukraine's economy and Europe's stability.
You are giving Russia everything.
I'm simply providing factual information about the current situation. The economic impact of the conflict is significant, but I don't take sides in these complex geopolitical matters.
Alexa, stop. 12.4 trillion in resources. It's where Russia currently occupies right now. Which is definitely a dent to the Ukrainian economy. And the dependency that Europe has. Go look up what Ukraine's value is in resources across the board and what they have. It's incredible. It's actually incredible. Don't take my word for it. Do your own homework and see what their resources are and the percentages in Europe. Not only that, they have one of the best fertile lands to grow stuff on. Their soil is exceptional for farming. Exceptional. And our president just wants to hand it over because he wants to get the Nobel Peace Prize and say he made peace. You are giving Russia everything. You are rebuilding they're going to become an economic power again in the long term. They're going to have access to vast resources. They're going to make money. That's going to help their economy. We are going to rebuild Russia's economy. We're going to hurt Europe, and we're definitely going to hurt Ukraine. Who gets the gain out of this? Russia. I thought Russia was an adversary. No, they're our besties. And did you hear the other one? He wants Ukrainians in Russia to vote who is elected in Ukraine. So when Ukraine has an election, Russia wants Ukrainians in Russia to have a say too, to vote what goes on in Ukraine. I don't know if you know about that. Ain't that special? And you know, there's corruption. There's definitely corruption in Ukraine. Nobody can discount that. But compare Ukraine to Russia. Is there free and fair elections in Russia? What happens to people that oppose? Prison or worse? I mean, come on now. Stop it. Because it's like you have a lot of these Russia sympathizers trying to defend Russia and call Ukraine corrupt and the N word, they're full of N's, N-A-Z, you know that word, all that. Are you kidding me? Is that your argument compared to Russia? A dictatorship, totally corrupt? The oligarchs control everything? A guy who's the president for life rigs the elections literally, and then he goes out, yeah, you're right, your elections were rigged. Yeah, because kind of like you, right? Putin, similar, right? You guys have that in common, right? It's a joke. It's scary stuff. Really, it's scary stuff. And, you know, I don't know. Do people really understand what's going on, or they're just so naive and so narrow on their political affiliations that they don't see the whole picture? It's incredible. And what's to stop Russia from, look what we did. We'll wait a few years, but we're going to push again. You think this is the end? He got everything he wanted. He has no reason to stop. Because he's going to benefit. Because he knows if he waits it out, he benefits. Now, I don't know how long Vladimir is going to be around. He's getting up there in age. But, my God, what is wrong with people? I don't know. I knew Ukrainian families in 19 that lived on the Canadian prairies with no electricity or running water. They did surprisingly well on their homesteads. You should definitely look on what's going on in Ukraine in the last few days. It's bad. For the civilians. Very bad. Don't get me started on my Polish cousins. They were not mushy affection, but oh my God, you can't hurt their family members, and they had no sense of ha-ha. They were all business. Do you realize how many Ukrainian children were taken back into Russia? And they're being indoctrinated. They were even adopted by Russian families. Ukrainian children. That is a war crime. Plain and simple. What they did to the children alone in Ukraine. War crime. Putin. But he's our best friend. The United States used to stand up for something. It was the voice that would stand up to things like this. Utter silence. I don't think they've ever even mentioned this administration about the kids that were kidnapped back into Russia. I don't even think they brought it up. Like they don't care. Alexa, how many children were kidnapped or abducted from Ukraine and brought back into Russia?
Russia has forcibly transferred nearly 20,000 Ukrainian children to areas under its control. This is considered a war crime by international authorities.
Alexa, stop. So I didn't make that up. It's a war crime. 20,000 children. 20,000. Not a few hundred, not 10. 20,000 children. So where is the outrage? First of all, with this administration, human rights means nothing. That's obviously what's happening domestically and what they think about other countries abroad. Did you see when the Saudi Arabian prince was here and he started talking about Khashoggi? Oh my God. Human rights is not part of this administration's list. I don't think, right? Look what's going on here. They ignore what's going on across in other places. I have not heard anything from this administration talking about those 20,000 children that were taken from Ukraine into Russian territory. None. Zero. Have you? They're holding them hostage. Like I said, they're giving them to Russian families to adopt. Or they're indoctrinating them. You know why? To despise, I don't want to use certain words, Ukraine. They're going to use them against their own country. That is so sad. No, but Russia's great. They're not corrupt. They're great. Ukraine is corrupt. They're the worst. It's indefensible. And I don't know when people are going to wake up and see what's going on. And not for nothing. Has anybody seen any images of Gaza? Where people once lived? It looks like something in Japan, sadly. It's completely leveled. People living in tents. I was looking at it. I don't even want to get into it. Sewage coming out from underground all over the place. The infrastructure is totally destroyed. Has anybody actually seen the video footage, drone footage from Gaza? It's leveled. Any buildings that are standing up are all decrepit. They look like they definitely got to be knocked down, leveled. It is such a sad, oh my gosh. There's a lot of bad things out there. And people can't ignore the reality of it. Really, you have to, if it's painful to watch, you have to do it so you realize what's going on. You can't just simply ignore it like it's not happening. It is so sad to watch. It's really sad. So there's, like I said, there's a lot of things. 2026 might be really, really a rough ride. Not just here, but as far as abroad, globally, there might be so much things going on and not in a good way. And it's going to be interesting to see how this administration handles it because, you know, they're not the most brightest bunch. I'm not confident in the people that have these roles right now. They seem very incompetent. It's one blunder after another. I've never seen incompetence like this in an administration. Whether it's Hegseth, Bondi, Patel, I mean, even the deputy attorney general. It's a mess. And if something really were to break out seriously, Do we have confidence that this administration is going to be able to contain and deal with it? What happens if it's multiple things happening at once? Oh my God, I'm freaking nervous. I'm worried. With this administration, I am worried. A bunch of podcasters and Fox reporters in these jobs, and now things are going to hit the fan? Where's their experience? Generals resigning, people resigning. They get rid. Do you know why there's so many issues going on in the FBI? Because a lot of people resigned or they fired them. All the competent people that they had, they're gone. That's why it's a mess what's going on with the Epstein files. It's a mess. They were trying to recruit people to volunteer to redact and do stuff. That's how much of a mess it is. And all of a sudden, there's a million more. But you said a few months ago there was nothing left to investigate. Oh, the Southern District of New York just gave us... What? What? Are we supposed to buy this? BS? Or if we are to buy that, then that tells me you people are totally incompetent. It's one or the other. It cannot be. Incompetence to the max. Or it could be the other one, cover up. Slow it down. I don't know. But it's just crazy. Oh my God, Lorraine, you make... I don't mean to laugh, but that's a funny comment. I don't know if I could read that on TikTok. Oh my gosh. You know what though? And I don't want to be like a gloom and doom person. So I'm going to try to get off this a little bit. But all I'm saying is people need to be aware. I always say this as a person who's a moderate. I was a Democrat years ago when I lived in New York City. So was Trump. I'm here now, in the middle, completely in the middle. And I'm not even, I go both ways. I look at things and I voted Republican and I voted Democrat here. That's how much of an independent I am. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm not going to be dug in and ignore what this side is doing. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at what both sides are doing and how they're, because it's a mess. It really is a mess on both sides. It's a mess. One doesn't have a message, but now they're getting the message. The other one is so dug in that they are scared and cowards not to speak out against something that they know is wrong. Because they know one post, like what Marjorie Taylor Greene, once he did that, she was like, I'm done. I'm out of this. I'll primary you out. To Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of his biggest staunch freaking supporters. And he put that out there because he didn't like what she said about the whole Epstein file thing. That's how loyal or disloyal he is to other people. Either you're loyal to him or not. And if you're not, I'm going to get rid of you. Whether I can fire you or I'm going to primary you out, they are scared to you know what. That they don't speak out. Because they know one Truth Social post, this person is not supporting our agenda to make America great again. We need to primary this person out in 2026. And they're like, what a way to exist, right? Scared. Cowards. To do what's right for their constituents. No. To do what's right by one. But being that the House is up for grabs big time, I've been saying this too. Let's see if Republicans start to pull back a little bit and start to think about their own political careers to try to get reelected and distance themselves a little bit from the president. Or are they going to go down with the ship? and the house falls. Like House of Cards. That's going to be interesting to watch in 2026. I've been saying this for months. It's not like I'm talking new about this, but nobody pays attention. I don't like to say I'm right all the time because I'm definitely not. But the vast majority of things I've been saying have been accurate. Now, am I perfect? Of course not. Nobody is. Some people think they are. Some people can't admit that they're wrong. They refuse to admit when they're wrong. And that's part of the problem what's going on now. Because they don't want to say, well, I was wrong. You were wrong. Independents have fled. They're gone. Independents are definitely not behind this president anymore. They're pretty much toast. The Hispanics that you gained, you lost them, especially with the immigration thing. They're gone. All those pluses you gained are now gone. But will that affect people in the House? People are going to use it against him. Well, you were behind him on everything you went along with, everything he said. And what they're going to say? People are pissed. Don't think they're not. 30% may not be, the MAGA. It doesn't matter what he does. They'll defend him to the end. He can do no wrong. It's the rest of the country that's saying, what the heck is going on? The vast majority of the rest, like 6 out of 10. And that's conservative. I'm giving 40%. Which that might be too much. Because a lot of independents, they lean left or right. So some of those independents that are right-leaning are still supporting him. But a lot of the ones that were on the left are gone. It's going to be very interesting to see what this year, how this develops up to the midterms. And they better pay attention. They better be paying attention because they're going to lose the House. And then he's a lame duck for sure. Nothing's going to get done. Not that much got done anyway under this current Congress. Another one to keep an eye out is refunding the government at the end of the month. Oh my gosh, that's going to happen again. Could you imagine another shutdown? In the middle of all this. Got to keep the government going. That's coming up. Will they throw the healthcare aspect into it? And here's the funniest thing too. They're talking about giving checks to people. This is where it's so stupid. It is such a stupid thing. Here's the thing. You ready for this? We'll give them $2,000 so they can pick their own insurance because we can't stand the insurance companies. But you're telling them to use that $2,000 to make another deal with the insurance companies. That's what the tax credits helped with. So you think those people, if they're desperate and they're living paycheck to paycheck, are actually going to are they forced to put that money into insurance, or are they going to spend that money some other way to help them pay their bills and screw health insurance? That's a smart move. Oh, the insurance companies are making a fortune. It's corrupt, blah, 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 blah. We'll just give everybody $2,000. What? So that they can go to an insurance company to get coverage anyway? Does that make any sense? That is the most buffoonish, stupidest thing I've ever heard. Ever heard. That is like an oxymoron. It doesn't even make sense. You're telling them you're going to give them $2,000 so they can get their own insurance. What's that going to do? $2,000 for health insurance? Come on, stop it. Stop it. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. How many of those people are going to put that check if they must? I don't know if there's a must involved. put that money toward insurance. They're going to keep that in their pockets to pay their bills. Make a little temporary cushion. Because things are so bad for a lot of people. That's how stupid that is. Now, it's a good thing for people who need the money, but when it comes to health insurance, it's done. A lot of people will not get health insurance just to keep the money. They won't get the health insurance. And like I said, the less amount of people that go to get insurance means everyone's rate is going to go up because they're not getting that money no more from the other people who would normally put into it. Now they're going to raise their rates to make up for it. Does anybody understand that? People think, oh, screw those people. Those 20 million or whatever. It doesn't affect me. Oh, yes, it does. Alexa, if less people sign into the ACA marketplace, does that mean premiums for everyone else would go up?
Yes, lower ACA marketplace enrollment typically leads to higher premiums for remaining participants. As healthier individuals leave, the risk pool becomes less balanced, causing insurers to raise rates to cover higher expected costs.
Alexa, stop. Duh. So yes, you will be affected too. Your rates are going to go up. That's how it works. Or do you not realize that? Do we have common sense these days? I don't know. Maybe people don't realize that. People already go without medicine to be able to feed their kids. Yes. It's a choice. That's a sad choice that they'd rather go without their medication just to put food on the table. Or pay their bills. Do you realize how many people are going into default on their credit cards right now? A lot. More than ever. So when you look at things that are going on, you cannot tell me things are good. Because you're not looking at the true facts of the matter and the whole picture. And you're listening to a con man tell you that everything's great? Really? The same person that you all thought was a great businessman that filed bankruptcy how many times? And devalued property in one place and increased it in another so you get a tax break? Remember, let's not forget that. Because that is a fact. You tell the IRS one thing, and then you tell the banks another thing. The property is valued at this much so you can get the loan, but you're telling the tax that it was a loss or it was worth less. So you get that break. It's a game they play. If you and I played that game, we'd be in trouble. For fraud. Let's be real now. It's a joke. When nobody can afford preventive care, urgent care gets... Yeah, that's right. But see, you bring up another great point, Lorraine. Preventive care actually makes the longer term cost less when they do need to get the urgent care or the surgery or the cancer treatment or whatever. Preventive care is so important to diagnose something early because it costs a lot more money when it's too late. That is a big, big part. Think how many people go undiagnosed with type 2 diabetes, a heart condition because of blockage, whatever the issues are, pulmonary, colon, prostate, etc. Because they didn't get that preventive care. They didn't go to the doctor to get the yearly checkup or blood work or urine work that detects a lot of this. No, it's too late. Now they got to go in and go to these specialists and go under these machines and get the expensive treatment. Oh, it just went up because you were undiagnosed. and you didn't get the early preventative care. It's a big one. Absolutely. I say that all the time to people. But it's so easy to say, go to the doctor, but people can't afford it, or they just won't go to pay for it because it costs so much. Just to walk into an emergency room is $500 average. Just to walk in and sign that paperwork. You are now $500 in, despite whatever else happens. Alexa, what's the average cost to walk into an emergency room?
The average emergency room visit costs $2,715 in 2025. This can vary based on your condition, treatments, and insurance coverage.
On insurance coverage. So what does a $2,000 check do for you if you have to walk into the emergency room? God forbid. No insurance.
With the $2,000 deductible, you'd pay that full amount first, then typically 20% coinsurance on
Alexa,
remaining
stop. That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about that $2,000 check they want to send to everybody. God forbid you have a health emergency that you have to go to the ER. That alone is, you're done. That alone, you're done. So does it make sense? Absolutely not. But we can give billions of dollars in aid to a country to get their beef because you like their president, because their president supports you? What? But you can't do for the people in this country to give them the health care? But you can give a $20 to $40 billion aid package to a foreign country. Tell me where that makes sense. What are they doing for us? No, because that president is kind of like him and he supports them. This is what we're dealing with. Pettiness. Do you love me? I'll love you back. If you say anything bad about me, you're toast. It's like dealing with a kid in a schoolyard. And people were talking about Biden's cognizant. This is scary stuff. And, it's always when it's too late, people say, oh my gosh. Because nobody looked at the flags or the warning signs. Nobody. They ignored them. Till it's too late. This is where we're at right now. And I simply can't defend it in any way. There's no way to defend it. It was supposed to be America first. Where do you think America is now? You think America's first? In his eyes, they are. I don't see America being first right now. We are weakened as a country. We are not looked at with respect. Forget about that. You want to become an isolationist country? You're doing a good job of that. It's not even about nationalism, isolationism. Because you are isolating. And other countries are finding ways to work amongst themselves to do deals to go around us. Like Lorraine said, the Mexican-Canadian deal. They're finding other ways. What's up, creamers? So, are we living in a realistic environment, or are we got the wool over our eyes and being blinded like the Pied Piper leading the mice and just going along with it? You have to make that choice. And really look deep inside and be honest with oneself and say, then, fine. whatever conclusion you have, but at least be honest with yourself. Look inside, look at the mirror. Are you good with this? I guarantee a vast majority will say, heck no. Heck no. And it's always, a balance. You're never going to get to 0. 30% is low because that shows one core base, and that is extreme base. Not moderate, more of the extreme base. When you are down in the 30s, that means your hardcore base is there, but the moderate ones are slipping away. Forget about what the other party does, because they're not going to go for you anyway. And I've said this a million times. Where are the independents? They're not here now. They bailed. Like I said earlier, you had the Hispanic vote. Bye-bye. They're gone. They bailed. Things are just not good. And like I said, I'm worried about 3, more than that. China taking Taiwan in 2026. They have war games right now surrounding Taiwan doing war games, China. Right now. Today. Yesterday. Right now. They're not gonna make a move immediately, but they're getting ready. And they know that Mr. No Wars is not gonna start a war with China. But there might be some deal. Let us take care of our backyard, Venezuela, Colombia. Don't get involved with our shit, and we won't get involved with your shit. How's that as a trade? It could be as simple as that. And like I said, it's going to be very curious to see what is said after this Netanyahu President Trump meeting today. Gaza is going to be a focus, but trust me, Israel, look it up, do your research. Israel wants to do another preemptive strike against the ballistic missile factories in Iran because they're freaking out. And I hate to say it, but I see another incident occurring within the next 3 months between Israel and Iran. In 2026, it's going to pop off again. With or without our support. Israel's not going to stand by. They're going to probably, Netanyahu's probably going to ask him today, do you support us or do you give us the green light despite what's going on in Gaza? Because he doesn't want anything interrupting with the Gaza peace plan. Phase 2. The president doesn't want nothing to interfere with that. So by Israel launching a preemptive attack, does that throw a wrench in that? The president might say, we don't want you doing that right now. Israel might say, well, we don't care. We're going to do it anyway. Keep an eye on that by spring. And Israel will launch the preemptive. I hope I'm wrong. And I would be happy to be wrong. No problem with that. Please be wrong. But everything I'm seeing, did you see what the president, he's more of a puppet because the supreme leader is the one who makes all the decisions in Iran. Did you see what the president said? That we are in a total war. It depends on the interpretation. Or we are at all-out war with the United States, Europe, and Israel. That was a couple days ago. Now, we're used to their rhetoric. We're used to all the rhetoric coming out of Iran. But that was published by the president on the Supreme Leader's website. And I looked last night at the AI translator interpretation of what he said. I was like, oh, So is Netanyahu telling the president, did you see what the president of Iran just said? Bring it to his attention. Do you see what they're doing? Rebuilding maybe 3,000 missiles per year of ballistic missiles. Hypersonics, because those got through. They learned. Iran learned by their launch and attack on Israel, what got through and what didn't, and what can overwhelm the Iron Dome or the Iron, what's the laser now? Iron Beam, because they have a laser now. That's the new one, Iron Beam. Look it up. The THAAD missiles from the United States. But they know their vulnerabilities now. Remember, Israel's the size of New Jersey. Approximately. Israel is small. Can you imagine overwhelming them with thousands of missiles? And you don't think Israel's going to do a preemptive to take out those factories that are building these missile systems? And China's assisting them, by the way, with guidance. I don't know if you know about that. I saw that recently reading it. I forgot what it's called. But they're actually for the ballistic. They're giving them technical equipment, technology for guidance. Matter of fact, I don't know if it's today or yesterday, Iran launched a spy satellite. I don't know if it's today or yesterday or tomorrow, but they're going to launch one. Yes, creamers, yes. It depends on which Hispanics you say, creamers. Cubans, I could tell you in my family, the Puerto Ricans bailed. There's certain, if you pick the Hispanic community out, first of all, I could tell you this, being Puerto Rican, they were never going to vote for a female president. It's just not in their DNA. Because and I'm not stereotyping, generally, most of my relatives are dominant with their partners. So they weren't going to vote for a female president. That's just not in their makeup. Now, like I said, the Cubans still, there's certain Hispanic groups. But, just look at it. I could bring it up. Hispanics have bailed. You might know some that are still dug in. But those dug in are diehard MAGAs. They're going to stay dug in. It's the independent Hispanics, not Republican Hispanics. They're dug in. They're still dug in. He could do no wrong. They're going to stay dug in. It's the independents. A lot of them which crossed over and voted for him in 2024. A lot of them are not there now. But as far as this whole thing with Israel, I feel by spring something's popping off. Something is definitely popping off. I may be wrong. We'll see. What's today's date? 29th? December 29th. I got to remember that when I said this. Alexa, when is Iran launching their spy satellite?
Iran launched 3 observation satellites on December 28, 2025, using a Russian Soyuz rocket. The satellites, named Zafar 2, Paya, and Kauser, were designed for Earth observation and resource mapping.
Yeah, okay. It was yesterday. Using a Soyuz, Russian. They launched 3 satellites. I thought it was today. I said yesterday or today. It was yesterday. The Russians are helping them. China's helping them with tech. I hope I'm wrong. And Taiwan is going bye-bye in 2026, I'm telling you. Alexa, is China currently doing war games around Taiwan?
Yes, China is currently conducting military drills around Taiwan. The Justice Mission 2025 exercises began today and will continue tomorrow, involving live fire and simulated strikes.
Alexa, stop. China's not messing around. And as I said, when the president is doing what he's doing here in Venezuela, and probably won't stop at Venezuela, it'll probably jump to Colombia. If I had to guess, Colombia is on that hit, We're taking care of our continent. Well, I could see China easily saying, okay, you're doing what you need to do over there. We need to do what we have to do in our backyard. And we're taking Taiwan. You're not going to stop us, are you? You want to go to war? He's not going to go to war. With China? Over Taiwan? It's not our business. 2026 could be the year China takes back Taiwan. And I don't say that lightly. Because they're monitoring everything that's going on right now. And they see an opening here. It's an opening of weakness, knowing that the Nobel Peace Prize is more important. And they're going to call the bluff. What's the United States going to do? You think the United States is going to do anything if China moves on Taiwan? Do you think? You know how many people said, oh, he's going to do it under Biden. No. I said it back then. He's not going to do it. Because actually, he had more of a communication with Xi. They had like a mutual understanding. Right now, with the tariffs on top of it, China's taking back Taiwan. And I don't joke about that. I don't take that lightly. China's going to most likely take Taiwan. I'd say it's an 80 to 90% chance in 2026, China's moving on Taiwan. You got to see the massive drill they're doing right now. I was watching it on a feed. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like they have a naval blockade around the whole island. They've got the AWACS flying, their version of the AWACS flying over. They've got fighters. They've got all. I'm like, oh. Whoa. So things are going to get dicey. So I don't know whether it's foreign or domestic, what happens in 2026. 2026 we might be in for a rough ride. Both here and out there. Both. And do you have, like I said, do you have confidence this administration, with their experience or lack thereof, or incompetence of that they do have, and that's been obvious in numerous areas, where it's Signal, Gate, or this insanity with the Epstein files or anything else, the total incompetence is scary. Because if something does break out, how are they going to handle that situation? You comfortable with Hegseth, Patel, Bondi, and the others? Admirals retiring or quitting? This is not good. And, the other countries are testing the waters. He's not going to do anything because he won't start a conflict unless it has to do with Iran or Venezuela or maybe Colombia. He's not going to do anything. And think about it. I don't want to get involved in any wars either. Nobody does. But that's the last thing we need right now is a conflict. Period. Because of all the other crazy things that are going on. And we're spread thin. We have a lot of assets in the Caribbean right now. What about the South China Sea? What about the Middle East? What about the other areas? We only have so much to move these pieces around like a chessboard. And they know this. Our allies aren't feeling us. NATO's never been so weak. Scary times on a global level. So, again, I think we're in for a rough year, 2026. I hope I'm wrong. But, sadly, I don't think I'm wrong. But I hope I am. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see what, because I don't know if they're meeting now, Netanyahu and President Trump. And you can't depend on the press corps to ask any relevant questions because they all are controlled by the White House. They don't ask the tough questions. They suck up. Most of them ask suck up questions. There's still a few that ask tough, legitimate questions, but right away they're attacked at fake news, blah, 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 blah. This is the worst White House press corps ever in history because they got the people that they love with the softball questions and made it such an imbalance to make it look like awesome when they do their press conferences that their tough questions aren't asked. And they don't even allow them to have a follow-up if it is tough. And then what's even worse is the following reporter doesn't pick up what the last reporter said. They just change the narrative of the conversation and the questions. That's the game in the White House press corps. So you can't even get a decent question, a legitimate question. Like my question would be, did you both discuss the options concerning Iran, one of those options being a preemptive strike on their missile facilities? That's a legitimate question. I bet you not one of them asked that question. Maybe one. I would hope one does. But that's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. And controlled. It's pretty much censored. That's what we want? That's not the real true freedom of the press. It's controlled. There's a lot of questions here. But I'd be very interested to see if anyone does, somebody, even if it's a reporter from Israel or Iran, if they even have them in there. I doubt the Iranian. There has to be reporters from Israel in there. There has to be. Netanyahu's there. There has to be a reporter that doesn't go abide by the terms and conditions for the reporters here in this country. Please let one of them ask a legitimate question from the Israeli press. Please. Because my confidence is very low that one of our own will ask that question. That's sad. That's sad saying that in itself. And I want to see. I may be surprised. Maybe somebody will. Maybe it'll be ABC, his favorite, or CNN, his favorite. Not. Maybe it'll be one of those. Oh my gosh, it's just too much. It's too much. And I gotta look. I'm just gonna look. When is the meeting? It might be happening right now. Which I definitely want to go see later. Watch live. Well, we can't do that. Oh, look what it says here. President Donald Trump will host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida today as he doubles down on big foreign policy bets in the end of the year flurry. Netanyahu is expected to press Trump on taking more aggressive action against Israel's enemies. But the U.S. president has grown wary of some Israeli actions. I knew it. I knew they're going to talk to him about Iran. That's not even a doubt. That's their concern. It's not necessarily Gaza peace plan. The leaders are expected, this is from The Hill. This is a conservative article. The other one was from a liberal, just to be clear. President Trump on Monday hosts his second foreign leader in as many days as Benjamin Netanyahu heads to Mar-a-Lago. The leaders are expected to work on advancing the Gaza ceasefire, which has mostly held since it took root in October. The complicated second phase of Trump's 20-point peace plan focuses on ending Hamas's rule in Gaza. And with Iran's leader declaring his country is in a full-scale war with Israel, the United States, and Europe, discussions are likely to pivot there too. I mentioned that. The president of Iran made that statement a couple of days ago. So that's definitely going to be on the agenda. Let's see. Lebanon, Iran expected to be discussed. This is another article. The president is expected to push Israel to move forward with the second phase in the ceasefire agreement. So I'm trying to look for the latest updates. I don't know if they're meeting yet. Alexa, what time is the president and Netanyahu expected to meet at Mar-a-Lago today?
The president and Netanyahu are expected to meet at 1 p.m. Eastern Time today at Mar-a-Lago.
It's happening now. Oh boy, I may have to get off just to see.
President Trump and Netanyahu are meeting at Mar-a-Lago now. They're discussing the Gaza peace plan's second phase, focusing on ceasefire momentum and resolving key issues.
I wonder if I could see it live.
Yes, you can watch it live. The meeting is scheduled to start at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Would you like me to help you tune in?
No.
All right, I understand.
Okay, so this feed is not working. It was supposed to start working at 1. Let me make sure I'm muted. Okay, I can't put his on. Let's see if Fox News. They're talking right now.
By 2:30 in Russia, 2:30 in the morning, and we had a very good talk. We spoke at 8 o'clock in the morning hour time, and it was a very productive talk. I mean, we have a few very thorny issues, as you can imagine. He knows about thorny issues probably better than anybody in the world, but it's working out. We have a couple of issues that we're going to get resolved, hopefully, and if we get them resolved, you're going to have peace. You're going to have Ukraine. They're losing 26,000 soldiers a month. Can you believe it? A month, 26,000 young, beautiful soldiers, and plus some people in Kiev, and relatively small, but a lot, still people, and it's a lot of people. But 26,000 soldiers were killed last month. Yeah.
Is he really worried about that?
Are you going to allow Turkish forces, or do you expect Turkish forces to be stationed in Gaza?
So
No,
I have a great
Israel's not gonna
relationship
go
with
for that.
President Erdogan, and we'll be talking about it. And if it's good, I think that's good. And a lot will be.
Netanyahu doesn't want that.
Having to do with Bibi, we're going to be talking about that. But Turkey's been great, and he's been, you know.
Turkey's been a supporter for
excellent
Hamas.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't know about you. To me, he's been very good.
Or Pakistan. No way. Not happening.
Could you tell me a little bit about your relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu and how important it is for you to see him be pardoned by the Israeli president?
Look, he's a wartime prime minister. He's done a phenomenal
Ask about
job.
Iran, somebody,
He's
please.
taken Israel through a very dangerous period of trauma.
Just listen to the White House core
Israel
questions.
with other people might not exist right now, if you want to know the truth. That's a pretty big statement, but it's true. I feel that. You had the wrong prime minister. Israel right now would not exist because they were.
He wants
they
the
were
charges
met with a
against
force,
Netanyahu
the
dropped.
likes of which very few countries could have handled, and we worked together, and we were extremely victorious. To
That's
put
what
it
that's
mildly.
about right there.
Now I hear that Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down. We'll knock the hell out of them. But hopefully that's not happening. I heard Iran wants to make a deal. If they want to make a deal, that's much smarter. You know, they could have made a deal the last time before we went through, you know, a big attack on them, and they decided not to make the deal. They wish they made that deal. So I think, again, they should make a deal. They want to make a deal, but sometimes that doesn't happen.
They're
Yeah,
not
please.
making a deal on their ballistic missile program. It's out.
Would you support the overthrow of the Iranian regime?
Who?
Iranian regime.
I'm not going to talk about overthrow of a regime. It's, they've got a lot of problems that are in. They have tremendous inflation.
They
The
had big
economy is
protests in
bust.
Iran this past
The economy
weekend.
is no good. And I know that people aren't so happy, but don't forget, every time they have a riot or somebody forms a group, little or big, they start shooting people. You know, they kill people. And the people tend
Or
to...
arrest them,
I've
lock them
watched
up.
this for years. There's tremendous discontent. They form 100,000, 200,000 people. All of a sudden, people start getting shot. And that group disbands pretty quickly. So I've watched it for years. They're vicious, vicious people, yeah.
Mr. President, Idan Golowala News, will you support an attack, Israeli attack on Iran if Iran will?
Finally, some questions from foreign reporters. Foreign reporters.
And also nuclear weapons.
If they will continue with
Yeah.
the missiles, yes. The nuclear, fast. Okay? One will be yes, absolutely. The other was, we'll do it immediately.
Mr. President, Ron of Ram from Channel
I was
12.
waiting for that.
What are your plans regarding Gaza for the next few weeks?
Well, we're going to be dealing on Gaza. That's why this very great prime minister is here right now. We're talking about Gaza. We're talking about a lot of things. We have about 5 major subjects that we're discussing. Gaza
Lebanon,
will be one of those subjects.
Iran,
Mr. President, can you
Gaza.
guarantee that the last hostages, Ran Philip, will be released before we continue to the second phase of the Gaza plan?
Well, let's put it this way. Every hostage just about that's been released was released because of me, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, my whole team, Marco Rubio,
That is a
Steve
lie.
Hegseth. They were all
A
released.
lot were
because
released
of
under
us.
Biden. That's a lie.
None were released in the Biden administration.
Oh my God, that's a lie.
All released because of us. Then we had a lack of releases with respect to the dead. And all of a sudden they started coming back because they said, nope, you said you were going to. We have one wonderful young man whose parents are right now inside. And he's, what beautiful parents, a beautiful brother, sister, and like a beautiful family, and they're waiting for the son. It's the only one left.
That's horrible.
And
Trying to
we're
get
doing
the
everything
remains.
we can to get his body back. And the parents just said, hopefully he's alive. And I said, I'd love you to think that way. Okay?
President
So we're doing
Trump,
everything we can.
do you have President Trump, does the
Out of all of these people, and I'm not just talking about the final 20.
Right.
Look at all of the people. What do you think the total number is?
255.
255.
254 came out, one more.
Think of that. And we got them all.
President Trump, President Trump, does the reconstruction of Gaza, President Trump, does the reconstruction of Gaza, does the reconstruction of Gaza will begin even before Hamas is disarmed?
I think it's going to begin pretty soon, yeah.
There's a yellow zone.
He's looking forward to it, so am I. Look, what
That
a
reporter
mess.
should know that. There's a
What
yellow
mess it
zone
is.
that
And
they're
it's
going to
been
try
a
to
mess
rebuild
for
inside the yellow zone.
Centuries, really. It's been a mess for a long time. It's seems to be born for that, but we're gonna straighten it out. No, we're already starting certain things. We're doing things for sanitary conditions and others.
I talked
But
about that
Gaza's
earlier.
a tough
Sewage
place.
on the streets of
You know the
Gaza,
expression,
everything's horrible.
It's a tough neighborhood. It's truly a tough neighborhood. Yeah, you had a question in the back? Go ahead. Yeah, please, go ahead.
I'll ask you about the relationship between you and the Prime Minister.
What about it?
They said that there is no relationship, good relationship between you.
I don't think it can be better. We just won a big war together. You know, if we didn't beat Iran, you wouldn't have had peace in the Middle East.
That was a war?
Because nobody would have been able, the Arab countries who have been fantastic, would not have been able to make a deal. If we didn't wipe out their nuclear, we wiped it out. If we
That's
didn't wipe
not
out
necessarily
with our
true.
beautiful B-2 bombers, if we didn't, and we sent a lot of Tomahawks in there also, by the way, from a submarine.
And what about the pardon that
The Atomic Agency said that they have undisclosed areas of nuclear material
I think you will.
that we're not aware
How
of.
do you not? He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? You know, I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the president, and it's on. I mean, he tells me it's on its way. You can't do better than that, right? Please.
Mr. President, can I follow up on Venezuela? Was the facility taken out by the U.S. military? Or was
Boats.
it another entity like the CIA?
Well, I don't want to say that. I know exactly who it was, but I don't want to say who it was. But you know, it was along the shore.
Mr. President, have you or anyone in your administration talked to Maduro in recent days?
Well, I spoke to him
Recently?
pretty reasonably, but nothing much comes of it. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you explain the importance?
You have to understand what he's done. They've sent billions of dollars of drugs in, but maybe just as bad, they've sent hundreds of thousands of people in from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions and insane asylums. The drug lords, the drug dealers were all sent into our country. But think of it, what he's done. Tren de Aragua, probably the worst gang. They cut off people's fingers. One man
Oh
made
my
a
God, I
phone
gotta be
call to
careful. I'm on
complain about
TikTok.
them. He cut off their hand.
Oh
They
my
cut
God.
off his hand. Don't ever make a phone call again. We'll cut off your other hand. After that, we'll kill you.
Oh
they
my
said.
gosh.
That was in Colorado.
I gotta mute him for a second. Oh my gosh.
Sent in some bad people, and that to me was just terrible.
That's
And
the president
they sent
saying
in
it, not
drugs.
me.
Now, I will say this, 97% of the drugs coming in by sea stopped. We're trying to figure out who the other 3% are. They have a hard time getting people to pilot those boats. But 97%
So they
of
haven't
the
gotten
drugs
to their
coming in
meeting
by
yet.
the ocean, by the sea, by water, are gone. Every boat that we take out, we save 25,000 lives of Americans. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you. We're going to have a big meeting, and we'll see you in a couple of hours if you'd like.
Okay, so they're going into their meeting now. So my live feed got interrupted on TikTok, I believe. It's restricted, not for 10 minutes. I mean, Alexa, were any Israeli hostages released under the Biden administration?
Yes, under the Biden administration, 2 hostage exchange deals were completed. In November 2023, 105 hostages were released. A second deal in January 2025 resulted in 33 more hostages being freed, including 8 who had died in captivity.
So that was a lie. Alexa, stop. He freed all of them. No, he did not. That was a lie. And the agreement happened in January before he took office under the Biden administration for that last part. So that was a blatant lie. There was almost 140 that were released, which is 2/3 of 255. So actually under the Biden administration, more hostages were released, whether they were alive or unalive. 2/3, 140 compared to 255. What do those numbers come down? Oh, we're responsible for getting them all back. No, you're not. false. I knew that was false immediately when I heard it. Fact checking is fun in a way. And there's other stuff in there, but I'm not going to get into a tit for tat because there's a lot of other stuff. 90%. Venezuela is a trafficker. It's not a supplier. And it's definitely not a supplier of fentanyl. You know, cocaine coming from Colombia, and most of it that they got these boats were going not to the United States. They were going probably to Europe. So, you know, there's a lot of misleading stuff there. Mexico is actually a big part of the fentanyl coming in. Mexico. Not Venezuela. Alexa, is Mexico the leading supplier for fentanyl coming into the United States? I think it's Mexico.
Yes, Mexico is the primary source of fentanyl entering the United States. Mexican drug cartels produce and smuggle most of the illegally manufactured fentanyl through the southern border.
I knew it was Mexico. So, again, misleading. Alexa, does Venezuela supply the majority of drugs flowing into the United States?
No, Venezuela isn't the main source of drugs entering the U.S. Most fentanyl comes from Mexico, while cocaine primarily originates in Colombia. Venezuela mainly serves as a transit hub for some cocaine, but plays a minor role overall.
What is that? 90%? Again, facts matter. That's misleading.
The 90% refers to heroin. About 90 to 94% of heroin consumed in the U.S. comes from Mexico.
But what about Venezuela?
Venezuela plays a minor role in drug trafficking to the U.S. Most of its drug activity involves cocaine transit to Europe, not the U.S. Venezuela isn't involved in fentanyl trafficking at all.
At all?
Venezuela plays a minor role in drug trafficking to the U.S. While it's involved in some cocaine transit, it's not a major supplier.
Alexa, stop.
Venezuela,
Oh my God, Kendrick! You gotta go to work! So, what's the truth here? It's the oil! That's what it is. It's the oil. Yo. I gotta drive him to work. Wait till you see what I'm cooking for New Year's Eve. I'm cooking pork tenderloin, Spanish rice for Christmas Eve. Oh, I'm going all out. So again, facts matter. Facts matter. So to say it's about the drugs is not factually based. But people believe it, but it's not based on facts. Colombia with the cocaine, Mexico with the fentanyl. Venezuela has zero with fentanyl. It's Mexico. And of course, we know the cocaine comes from Colombia. What they do is they're a transit hub. Those boats that they're hitting, they're not coming to the United States. They're going to a port because those are little boats. Those are the boats you would see on a lake. Obviously, you see them when they're targeting them, right? They're not ships. They're small boats. Like I said, that's something you would find somebody fishing on a lake. A nice size one, but yeah. They're heading to port to head to Europe or even Africa. They're going that way. They're not coming this way. So all of that is BS. This is about the oil. That's what it's about. And the companies, Exxon and all these other companies that had major investments when they pulled their contracts and saying, we're going to get our land back in Venezuela. We're going to get our access to the oil again. What? So people need to pay attention. He keeps pushing that drug thing. It is not about that. That's a talking point which a lot of conservatives believe. That it's about the drugs when it has nothing to do with it. Fentanyl, we hear so much about fentanyl. It's Mexico. I even knew that before asking. Cocaine, Colombia. What? And there are people that believe that. You know that, right? There are people that believe that. Which is scarier because they're not doing the homework and the research to find out the stats and the true data and the facts. But they run with it. And saying that I'm responsible for bringing all the hostages out of was a blatant BS. He said none of them happened in the Biden administration. That is such a blatant. It was 105 and then 33 under Biden, the Israeli hostages, whether alive or unalive. That adds up to 138. There were 255, so you're responsible for 117, Biden 138. Biden beat you. Will you admit that? No. But I got them all out. What? What are you talking about? Under the Biden administration, they got 105 on the first one and 33 on the second one in January before he left office. Alexa, how many total hostages did the Biden administration get back from Hamas?
The Biden administration secured the release of 138 hostages through two deals.
Alexa, stop.
105 in November 2023.
Alexa, stop.
30...
I said 138. There were 255, sadly. There's still one Marino unalive. Biden beats him. He just said live, I'm responsible for all of them. And the Biden administration did none. That is such a blatant BS. I can't even believe it. We're supposed to believe that? But some people do. Because whatever he says is truth to there. And about the drugs, 90% of the drugs supply, is that the most, and that is so bizarre. It doesn't even make sense. Maybe you stopped the 90% of the drug flow going to Europe, but it wasn't coming here. Fentanyl all comes from Mexico. Cocaine, Colombia. They're the transit hub. Venezuela's the transit hub, but the boats were going that way, not toward the Caribbean, toward the States. They were going the other way because they were most likely going to Europe. So is this about drugs or is this about oil? Really? Come on, please stop it. Stop. Anyway, I need to go because I have to drive him to work. Lorraine, Creamers, if you're still there, have a great one. Anyone on TikTok, be well, be blessed, be safe. I'll be back later. I need to actually digress and come back and change the topic and not talk about this stuff at all because it gets me aggravated. All right, I am out.